Hey, what's going on, my fellow Tauruses? This is your astrological forecast for the month of September 2016. Thank you so much for tuning in. Very briefly before we get started, I just wanted to remind you guys that this is a very general horoscope. General forecast for those born under the sun, moon, or rising / ascendant sign in the sign of Taurus. Now, if you don't know what your moon sign or your rising sign are, but you know that you were born in April or May and that you're a Taurus, well, what you need to do is click the link that I have in the description box to a website where you can go check out your birth chart, your whole birth chart, okay? And find out what your moon and your rising sign are. The rising sign is determined by the exact time of birth, so if you have that, then you can find that information. All right, now on to your September forecast, Taurus. All right, Taurus, so this month in September, the biggest focuses for us are going to be on our children, if we have children, hobbies that we have, activities that we participate in, maybe a little fun and romance here and there, but also some work, some serious work. Now let me break down the planetary activity in detail and explain to you why this is. The sun is in Virgo for the first a little more than half of the month until the 22nd. Now for Tauruses, this is our fifth house. The fifth house highlights romance and fun and creativity. It also highlights children, or if you don't have children, then it just means having childlike fun. And it's also, if you grow your own business like from scratch, from the ground up, it's yours, it's your baby that you nurture and grow and take care of. That's also ruled by the fifth house. So what the sun does is it shines a spotlight on that area of your life and brings all of those things more into the clear for you. So romantic relationships, you can be a little more focused on them. A little more, if you have a relationship that you're in already, like an established one, like a marriage or a serious long-time relationship, you can still crave like that dating feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like that first date, first meeting of your significant other type of feeling. You'll want to put that spark back in your relationship, hit the refresh button, that F5 button on your relationship, and go back to the time when everything was just innocent and fun. You know, if you guys are more serious now, maybe you have kids, responsibilities that you share, you'll want that feeling again. So this is a great time to spark that up again. So if you're not into romance or dating, relationships, or any of that, it can just be that you'll be participating in more hobbies, more creative hobbies, fun hobbies, activities with people, going out and just meeting people and having a great time, no strings attached, no seriousness, just lots and lots of fun. And as I mentioned, this is also an energy of your own business, especially a business that's creative. And Taurus, we're ruled by Venus. Venus rules creativity. Tauruses can be very creative people, you know, a little bit more creatively advanced than other signs. We're very in touch with that world. So this can be a time to focus more on creative hobbies and activities, or if it's one that you turn into a business, then that can definitely be more of a greater focus as well. Some important aspects that the sun is going to be making are Mercury is going to be retrograde this month for a good part of the month, which I will touch more on a little bit later, but the sun is going to come in conjunction with Mercury on the 13th. And when the sun and Mercury come together, it is more of a busybody type of energy, more chatty, more communicative, because Mercury rules communication. So the sun and Mercury are working together to keep you busy. And it is retrograde, so that means going back over things and being extra busy in the areas of life that the fifth house rules that I already previously mentioned. The sun will trine Pluto on the 7th of September, and Pluto is hanging out in our 9th house, which is education and travel and those really high goals that you set for yourself to achieve. The sun and Pluto trine in general is a very positive aspect, but it does bring a little bit more seriousness and depth to things. So around that time, if you are kind of casually dating someone around the 7th, you know, this is a time where things can get a little more serious, or there can be some jealousy that comes about, for example. Or maybe if it's with your kids, if you have kids, you can start to feel a little bit more like protective or maybe investigative to find out what it is they're really doing, you know, when mom or dad isn't around. So that's the energy of the sun trine Pluto. So back to Mercury. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. But Mercury is in Virgo this whole entire month until the 22nd of September. So what this means for you guys is this is your fifth house, okay? So anything that I mentioned that involves fifth house, You may be going back over. You may have to re-communicate, rethink, redo, rewrite, resend, okay, because retro is going back. So be very careful when it comes to sending out emails and texts when it involves your business. Or if you're like a single Taurus, right, for example, and you're kind of dating around right now, you're just kind of playing the field and meeting different people. I would be careful with Mercury retrograde in your 5th house of sending the wrong message to the wrong person, okay? Maybe there's like Joe Schmo over here that you met, and then there's like Bob over here that you met, but you don't really like Joe, but you really like Bob, and you mean to send a message to Bob, but you send it to Joe. Joe gets all happy, and you're like, no, what did I do? Joe's a loser. Like, I don't like him like that. Oh my gosh. So that's just one example of what can happen with Mercury retrograde there. Another thing, because it's bringing back, it can bring back old lovers from the past. But this doesn't necessarily have to mean like in person, although you can run into some. It can mean on social media, maybe you run into them that way. You see a picture that they're tagged in and you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen them in years. Maybe they find you, they contact you via email, messenger, Facebook, whatever, social media, or text you out of the blue and say, hey, remember me? Remember what we had in the past, Taurus? Do you want to bring that back, that old flame back? And whether or not you do, that's really up to you. But it's best not to start something during Mercury retrograde, because there's a chance that things are not very clear, and it can, once Mercury goes forward again, maybe things may be a little bit different than you had perceived, so just be very careful with the lovers and the, casual dating relationships during this time. Speaking of relationships, your ruling planet, which is Venus, is in the sign of Libra almost the entire month, okay? So Venus in Libra is going to be in your 6th house, which rules the work environment. It rules your daily regimes that you do to take care of yourself and take care of your everyday environment around you. And it's also your health, how you take care of yourself, like your physical health, okay? So Venus in the 6th, it is a good time to be seen and perceived in a positive light in the work environment. Maybe you can have a new coworker that's feminine or Venus ruled, like a Libra or Taurus, come into your work realm, your work sphere, your work environment, and be somebody that's pleasant to be around, hopefully. Venus in the 6th is a great time if you are looking for a job, for you to find a job that maybe earns a little more money, or to just be seen in a positive light by potential employers. Venus in the 6th is also a time where you can start a new beauty routine, or a new routine to really take care of your appearance, because Venus rules the appearance, and then the 6th house is more health, taking care of the body. So great time to maybe like buy a new moisturizer. I know I always say that. Buy some new equipment to exercise and work out during, downtime or free time. Or maybe finally join that gym or revive your gym membership, start going back to the gym. Great time to work on the appearance. Now Venus in the 6th house, Venus also rules like sweets and foods, the 5 senses being pleased. And the 6th house is also a house of habits. And this can mean unhealthy habits. It's just any habits that you have, anything that you do repetitively on a regular basis that becomes routine. Okay, so it can become routine for you to eat sweets, to eat foods that are very rich and not really healthy for you, but that taste good and are so pleasing to the senses. So I would say be very, very careful of developing bad eating habits during this transit of Venus. So the sun moves into Libra on the 22nd. Looks like we have several things going on the 22nd. We've got the sun moving into Libra. We've got Mercury coming out of shadow. We've got Venus leaving the sign of Libra the following day. So a lot of stuff going on around that date. But the sun coming into the 6th house in general is a time where you will either be given more work duties to do, or if you're looking for a job, great time to look for a job, because the spotlight is on you, okay, Taurus? So, potential employers can really be looking at you this time. You can really grab their attention. This is even more energy that gives you a boost towards enhancing the quality of your health as well. On the 9th, Jupiter moves into Libra, into your 6th house. Sun will come into contact with Jupiter in Libra the last couple of days of the month. I'm going to say around the 28th to the 30th is where it's the most potent energy. So this is the time where if you want to utilize the sixth house energy towards getting a new job, advancing in the job, maybe if you have your own business, gaining more work duties, a workload, that means gaining more clients. Around that time is super, super positive for you, Taurus. So really take advantage of that Sun and Jupiter energy, because Jupiter expands whatever it touches. The Sun is a ruler, is one of the energies that rules like career and your ego and your life path, the career path that you take, how you express yourself. With Jupiter, jolly old Jupiter, expansive Jupiter, hitting the Sun in that area of life, great time for the job, and also health, to maybe, because Jupiter rules guru figures, and that can mean like a doctor or a specialist. So maybe if you want to make your health better and your vitality, which the Sun also rules, a lot better, around the last week of the month is an excellent energy to take advantage of to really, really enhance that area of life for you. So on the 23rd, Venus moves out of Libra, out of your 6th house, and into your 7th house, which is Scorpio, which is your opposite sign. Let me tell you, my Tauruses, we are Venus ruled people. We are all about relationships and partnerships and the beautiful, and and beauty and gorgeousness. We're all about that. Our ruling planet moving into the 7th house, into our opposite sign, it's like we are looking at Venus, okay? And Venus represents relationships. So we are looking at relationships a lot more, standing right across from us. And that Venus energy can be reflected back to us when it's opposite from us as well. So it can work both ways with other people, prospective relationship partners, really having more of an eye on us, our friends really trying to hook us up with people. It can have us really looking out there for love. We're seeing life through the perception, like through the filter of Venus in our vision. So we're seeing everything as being beautiful. We're wanting more beauty into our lives. We're wanting more love, more enjoyment. So this is something, if you're not really interested in relationships, that you can be using this energy for, which is enhancing like the love and beauty in your life in other ways. Aesthetically pleasing environment, you can create more of that environment for yourself. You can become more involved in the arts, but involving other people, like going out to enjoy the arts with others. This is a time where you can enjoy great business partnerships, like connecting with people on that type of level as well. Now, Venus in the sign of Scorpio in general, it can be very intense. It can be very possessive. And for Tauruses, since that's our relationship sign, we kind of enjoy that a little bit. We like a little intensity. We like passion. We like aggression in our relationships. So you can attract more of that to you during this time. So this is on the 23rd that Venus moves into our opposite sign, and will be there through the first part of October as well. So one thing I forgot to mention with Venus still being in Libra before it goes into our opposite sign of Scorpio. So a few days before Venus goes into our 7th house, into Scorpio, it's still in Libra, and it's going to make an opposition aspect to Uranus, which is in our 12th house. 12th house is our emotional, like our mental, subconscious, the well-being of that, the health of that. Uranus is a planet of surprises. It's a planet of the unexpected and the bold just happening like without warning. And with Venus being in your 6th house of the work environment, what can happen during this time is Uranus is all about shock, right? Like an electric shock. Imagine Venus is like, she's just very chill and loving and calm, and then she receives a zap of energy, like an electric shock, like, whoa. What can happen if you're open to relationships is maybe you find a love relationship within the workplace, and it's all of a sudden an attraction to somebody that maybe you've worked with previously already before, or maybe like someone new steps in and it's like, whoa, hubba, who is that new person? They are fine. Oh my gosh, who are they? That's a possibility with this transit. Or it can be just something all of a sudden and shocking happens within your work environment that doesn't necessarily involve romance. So that is on the 18th that this exact opposition happens. So let's talk about Mars. Mars is in the sign of Sagittarius through the majority of the month of September. And this is our 8th house. The 8th house is the house of the joint finances that we take care of with other people. Now, this can mean within a marriage or a serious relationship, the finances and the assets that you guys share together and take care of. This can also mean finances that you receive from other than a job, like maybe insurance, inheritances, alimony, child support, money from the government, money from taxes, things like that. Mars is a very impulsive energy. It really goes for what it wants. So we could have been maybe like dealing with and chasing after some sort of money or financial venture, you know, that where we gather in money and resources from other sources, right? And Saturn is also there. Saturn has been hanging out there since the end of 2015 and will be there for about a couple more years. When Mars and Saturn come together in general, Mars is impulsive and he's like, come on, let's go, let's work, let's do this, right? And then Saturn is an energy of hard work, but it's like, oh, slow your roll, young kid, okay? We old timers here, we take our time, we make lists, we really check our work before we turn it in, you know, we do things step by step, we build buildings and structures brick by brick, and we don't skip anything, right? That's Saturn energy. So when Mars and Saturn come together, either it can be frustrating because Mars wants to go and Saturn wants to stop and slow down Mars, or it can be a great time for those two energies to work together to really bring something into fruition in that area of life. So with you trying to gather some money and resources, or maybe work together with other people if you own your own business or you're starting one, the money that you earn together with other people within that business is also ruled by the 8th house. So hard work being done there. The 8th house is also, it also has to do with like maybe traumatic experiences that you've had in your past. It can represent like some old emotional wounds that you had, maybe from even past relationships. And with Saturn there, Saturn has you working hard on releasing that stuff and letting it go, maybe by you attending counseling, getting therapy, or, you know, really working on those issues. And with Mars there, it can kind of turn up the heat as far as aggression and really wanting to just like dig in and dig out all that old crap from the past and shovel it out. Mars can help with that, or it can make you a little bit more frustrated and like, I just wish I can get over this already. I wish I can get over that old relationship, that, you know, wound that I suffered in the past in my childhood or whatever. I want to get over it already, you know, but Saturn is like, hold on, we really have a lot of work to do, okay? So we can't just, you know, get over it like that. So it can be kind of frustrating. But this Mars and Saturn conjunction is going to make a square aspect, which is a challenging aspect, to Neptune. And Neptune is in our 11th house. 11th house is like friendships and groups. So it can be a little bit frustrating. You know, maybe we have some past trauma that kind of holds us back from really, truly like expressing ourselves, letting our guard down, especially when it comes to love and relationships and relating to other people. And then the 11th house is groups of people. So maybe groups of people, friends, can be frustrated with us because we're really trying to work on these issues, but, you know, and maybe the friends are kind of like challenging us. So the groups are like, yo, if you still have like emotional problems, we don't really want you to be involved in our group, okay? You need to work on that stuff first. Or friends are like, we don't want you around to hang out with us if you're going to be a Debbie Downer, always talking about the past and hurts from the past, Taurus. So you really need to get over them. So that's what that Mars and Saturn and Neptune square energy can, that's just an example of what challenges that it can bring for you. So the square is during like the first week or two of September that energy is really intense. So now let's get into the moons. Every month there's a new moon and full moon that trigger and initiate even more changes and new beginnings and endings and decisions being made for us. So let's start with the new moon. It happens right at the beginning of the month, right off the bat in September. September 1st, there's a new moon in the sign of Virgo. This is at 9 degrees Virgo, and this is dealing with your 5th house. So more 5th house energy. Changes are initiated there because the sun and the moon come together in the same sign and the same degree. What they can do is wipe out something old. It can mean that something has to be wiped away and become invisible in order for a new ground to be like fertilized and set for something new to grow that is visible for you. So with 5th house matters, this happens. Maybe this new moon, it's also in conjunction with the North Node. Now the North Node is not a planet. It's not like a physical, you know, body, a celestial body. It's actually a point that's calculated and has to do with the moon. And so the moon and the North Node together, the moon is emotions, you know, the sun is our ego, and then the North Node accelerates whatever planets or other celestial bodies that it touches, okay? So they're in very close contact with one another. It's accelerating the emotions, it's causing very heightened emotions are based around this new moon. So this is fifth house matters, romance. You can feel like accelerating a new beginning within a casual romantic relationship, or accelerating your business growing, or a hobby, just diving into it. Or maybe even you want to have children. The fifth house is an energy of fertility when it comes to having children. So maybe you might want to accelerate that right now. But I would say to be very careful, because this new moon is in opposition to Neptune. So Neptune oppositions can cause sometimes deception, confusion, not being very clear on things. So be very, very careful with whatever decision is made. You might just want to go for the gusto with this new moon, okay? But Neptune is going to say, hey, all is not always what it seems. So you need to be careful. Make sure you go over every single detail, especially because at the same time, Mercury is retrograde, causing more confusion. So great time for new beginning, but just be careful to look for all the details, read all the fine print before you jump and make that final decision, Taurus. So the full moon this month is very interesting because it's actually an eclipse. Now, full moons every month, the effects last from month to month, 1 month to the next, right? But with eclipses, it is said that the effects last up to 6 months, or you can see the results that the eclipse triggers in an area of your life within the next 6 months. It's not necessarily on the day of the eclipse, some magical big thing, boom, is going to happen in your face, right? It can mean in the next 6 months, but this triggers it. So for you guys, it's in Pisces, 24 degrees Pisces. This is your 11th house of friendships and groups that you belong to. This is in a conjunction with Chiron, which is an asteroid that is nicknamed the Wounded Healer. Okay, it's all about where you may have been wounded in life, but maybe you've healed and now you have opportunities to heal other people. Or it's like currently, where you can be suffering the most. And for my Tauruses, it can be with friendships. Maybe friendships have been giving us a hard time, and we've been maybe suffering some wounds of, loss of friendships, or friends deceiving us, or, within the last several years since Chiron has been in the sign of Pisces. And then this full moon is going to bring things to a final decision. It's when the sun and the moon are in opposite signs, right? So the sun is in your 5th house, the moon's in your 11th. So it's going to be like an opposition there. Both areas of life are going to be affected. And it can cause maybe a little bit more pain for you. I am being completely honest. I'm a Taurus myself, and we dig honesty, okay? So there can be something hurtful that is brought to light, which full moons do, and brought to the surface. But remember, the wounded healer, you have an opportunity to heal. So if it's a friendship, maybe from the past that, things didn't go right and it ended, well, maybe it's an opportunity to finally heal from that by either making up with the person or forgiving them in your own heart and moving on. It's going to be making a square aspect to Mars. Mars is in your 8th house of past trauma. So we've got past trauma, and we've got pain, involved with this emotional Pisces, watery, full moon, eclipse. I mean, there's a lot of emotions around that moon. So it's a lot of release and letting go and healing, Taurus. All right, Taurus, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pull 3 cards for you guys this month from the Angel Tarot deck that I have by Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine. I'm going to pull 1 for the new moon, 1 for the full moon, and 1 for a message for Tauruses in particular, overall for the month of September. So I'm going to shuffle, and I'll be right back with your cards. All right, Taurus, so this is your card for the new moon on September 1st. And it is the 6 of air. The message on it says things are looking up, the end of a difficult situation, and there's a little bug crawling on it. Get out of here. Okay. Or taking a trip. This card represents the end of, well, like I said, the end of a difficult solution. Okay. And it says taking a trip. So take a look at the unicorn on this card. You see how he is in motion? So that means that things are moving and it's moving in motion, okay? And on the boat, it's kind of hard to see with this lighting and everything, but the word novus, N-O-V-U-S, is written on the boat, okay? Novus is a Latin word for new. So this unicorn, which represents you, Taurus, is off onto a new journey. And it's like in motion, so that tells me it's like full speed ahead. And it's leaving behind all of these other unicorns. So it's like Yeah, peace out, guys. You know, you do your thing and I'm going to do mine. I'm going to do something brand new, something that's true. Sorry about that. My iPad got too hot because it's like 1,000,000,000 degrees outside. Anyway, the color of the boat is blue. Blue is the color of the throat chakra. The sign of Taurus, we rule the throat and the throat chakra, which is all about speaking your truth. So this tells me that you may have to speak your truth in a situation and just go your own way, okay? Regardless of what everybody else is doing, regardless of what they think, you're like, screw you guys, I'm going home, okay? Or you're going elsewhere, wherever it is that you desire to go. And air cards are all about thought, okay? So this is like a resolution to something mental, something that maybe you were thinking or worrying about. Because the number 6 is associated with worry. And in astrology, the number 6 is associated with the energy of Virgo, which this new moon is in. So this is saying whatever your worries are around the new moon, you can let go of worry, okay? And you can just take off in your own direction, away from the problems. I'm not saying to run away from them and to not address them, but this is just saying to let go of worry about whatever it was. And since the new moon is in your 5th house, I mean, it's in regards to 5th house matters. This can be maybe leaving a situation of like a dating situation that you were in. This can mean maybe leaving something behind in regards to your kids. Not like you're taking off on a trip and ditching all your children or anything like that. It can mean that, but I mean, as a mom, I don't recommend that, Taurus. But maybe you may need to take a trip, not to ditch your kids in a bad way, but to just get away and have some childlike fun, worry-free, have some adult freedom time. Okay, so that may be what this new moon is telling you as well, to have a little more fun and to let go of worry. All right, Taurus, so the card that I pulled for us for the full moon eclipse happening in the sign of Pisces is the Magician card. The message on the card says you are ready. You have the resources or the ability to manifest them. Life is magical. So what this tells me is, so you see, this full moon is associated with creativity, because the sun that's involved in this full moon is in the creative house of the 5th house for you, and the moon is in the creative sign of Pisces. Pisces is a very, very magical energy. Okay, it's all about manifesting things from that you get power, and you get an intuition from the unseen world, and you just manifest things and you create things, it seems like out of nowhere, naturally, okay? So this kind of reminds me of the energy of Pisces. Right here, the Magician, the color that he's kind of, beaming out of his hand, some magic. It's hard to see in this lighting, but it looks like a purplish color, which is associated with the energy of Pisces, the crown chakra, and of divine creativity that comes from Neptune, okay? So this is a magical card that tells me that you may have an opportunity to really put your creative ideas out there into the world on a broad scale this month. That's what this eclipse can bring for you, because, as I said, the energy of Pisces is already very, very magically creative, and Tauruses are already very naturally inclined towards art and creativity. And then the house that this full moon eclipse is happening in for us, which is the 11th house of the masses, tells me that you may be looked at in a positive light amongst the masses this month, like a really magical person, a really creative person, really putting your work out there for everybody to enjoy. And this rainbow halo that is, it's kind of hard to see in this lighting, but the halo on the Magician is a rainbow color. And to me, that color, the rainbow, is associated with kind of a Pisces energy and kind of an Aquarian or 11th house energy, where this full moon is happening for you in the 11th house, which is all about like all colors of people. So reaching like a really broad scale of everyone. Okay, and then on his belt, he has different colors as well. Okay, there's a lot of rainbow associated with this magician, which to me represents definitely creativity, maybe working with a lot of color or art or something, but reaching a lot of different people, wide variety of people. So that's what I would say to try to manifest with this energy is reaching the masses with your creativity if you are in a creative field. All right, Taurus. So I had to film this part indoors because it was too hot outside for all of my devices. So anyway, the final card I pulled for us for the whole month of September is the 10 of Air. And it says the end of a difficult situation, embrace the change and expect things to get better now, recovering from an addiction. Hallelujah, Taurus, right? So if you look at the card, there's two horses together and they are running away from a pack of horses back here. So they're pretty much going against the norm, going against the crowd. And the look on their faces, to me, says like, you know what, like they kind of turn their backs on other people and what other people think. And, you know, they're kind of like, let's just do us now. And Taurus is, I'm sorry, at the end of this month, we have Venus going into our opposite sign, which rules relationships. So that's a very good relationship energy. So it can be that you do meet someone and that you finally let go of maybe people that you were dating, because also in September, we have a lot of activity in our fifth house of casual dating. So it can mean that we finally meet someone who is stable in a committed one-to-one relationship, and we let all the other fools go. Like, be gone. I'm deleting you guys all out of my phone and erasing all your numbers. This looks more like a female unicorn to me. And she's just like, whatever, I got me a man's now. And then this looks like a proud male unicorn. He's like, yes, this is my woman. So that's one thing that I see within this card happening for Taurus this month in September. But also, this card, it speaks to letting go of an addiction and getting out of a difficult situation. So Mars has been in Sagittarius in our eighth house. The eighth house is a house of like turmoil, you know, and dealing with some really emotionally deep stuff, okay? And it can be that Mars moving out of our eighth house at the end of the month and into our ninth is a more happier time for us. Like we could have been tackling demons this whole time, you know, and tackling just inner conflict and inner fears, and can be some Tauruses tackled addiction. And then once Mars moves into the happier ninth house for us, that is a house of traveling and being free to roam. So this can be you and a partner breaking away, being free to roam, maybe going on vacation now and planning out some more happier things in life now that you have gotten out of the difficult times. So that's overall the theme, the message for overall the month of September for Taurus. All right, Taurus. Well, that was it for our monthly forecast for September. I hope it was helpful or insightful for you. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see monthly forecasts from me every single month, because I will always be here to talk about what's going on up there and how it affects us down here. Don't forget to shoot me an email or click the link in the description box to where you can order a personalized reading from myself. I would love to help you out and give you some more insight and clarity into your life. All right? Well, take care of yourselves, Tauruses. I'll see you guys in October. Peace.